Hi, everyone. It's CricketSong with your inner wisdom, and you're watching another episode of Wyrds, Witches, Witchcraft. And I'm here with my co-host, Obsidian Fire. Say hello.
Hey! Bonjour tout le monde. J'espère que vous allez bien, comme toujours. Et comme d'habitude, j'espère que vous allez passer un bon moment avec nous dans cette discussion qui risque d'être peut-être un petit peu en dehors de l'ordinaire. Peut-être. On va bien voir si pour vous ça semble un peu différent.
Yay! Whatever she said. Yeah. And we have a guest tonight. Tonight, our guest is Cole Ledbetter, or, oh my God, I can't remember your channel.
Eclectic Chaote.
Thank you. I know the information is in the link to his channel is in the information section. I know I always put that up. I just blanked. Forgive me. I'm kind of scatterbrained today. But Cole is here today. He's been on my channel a few times when Sacred Circle too. I think you were on during Sacred Circle.
Yep.
And at least once before on this season, I think, of Wyrds, Witches, Witchcraft. Tonight we're gonna talk about sacrifice. I like how it's so I like how it's so like it has so many connotations to it, like so controversial, just the word sacrifice.
What do we do today?
Yeah, I know, like Loken was already talking about sacrificing virgins. I mean, we can talk about the sort of, I don't know, stereotypical things, and then we can work into reality, like what is really how the role that sacrifice actually has in a pagan / witchy practice. We can sort of go through that. Yeah, is that, or where do you guys want to start with the conversation?
I think that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, because, you know, we don't have a script or anything. We don't even have an outline. We just have a topic. We're just like, yeah, let's talk about sacrifice. Yeah, sounds good. Woo, let's do it. I don't even have questions or anything. Usually I have some questions, but not today. All right. So like virgins is like one of sacrificing virgins is one of the things that, you know, I've heard. Babies was another one that I was joking about earlier.
Yeah. Or just grown-up people, full grown-up people in Aztec civilization. Yeah, they were treating their sacrifice people like gods. You know, they had plenty of things to eat. They had women and everything they wanted prior to being killed.
Yeah,
that's kind of weird, but when you think of it, not totally weird comparing to what we are doing today. The principle of a sacrifice is giving something of high value to you. I mean, at least for me, it is what it means. So, by treating these people like kings or kind of gods, they were sacrificing someone of high value too. So maybe that was I don't know, but maybe that was their, line of thinking at this point. And I'm sorry, but my cat just had a problem, so I had to go see what happened.
Okay. So what is sacrifice? What is the official definition? I'm checking it out on Merriam-Webster. The act of offering to a deity something precious, something offered in sacrifice, destruction or surrender of something for the sake of something else. Okay. To kill as part of religious or scientific experiments. So, I mean, giving up something of value, something that's precious, and for something else. So sort of like an exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what the definition, the official Merriam-Webster definition says.
Have you watched Once Upon a Time?
I've watched some seasons. I haven't watched them all.
Rumpelstiltskin's favorite quote is, "All magic comes with a price."
I know. Yeah. I love that character.
Do you believe in that?
Do I think all things magical have a price?
Yeah.
I do.
Like, do you believe that you can do a spell without sacrificing?
Well, I guess,
sort of
again, that
something?
I think it comes down to our definition of sacrifice. Because if I think everything does come with a price. I don't think anything is ever given free. And what I mean by that is I don't necessarily feel that all spells require a blood sacrifice. I don't feel all spells require a blood sacrifice. But I do feel like if I am going to have a successful manifestation of my magical working, it's going to require something from me, whether it's time, whether it's energy, whether it's effort, whether it's, I just can't sit in the middle of my living room and say, give me money, so mote it be. And that's going to happen while I don't do anything in order to attain that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
I
agree.
agree with that.
Because I think it requires an energy exchange. I mean, in some instances, I do feel like a blood offering or a blood sacrifice does help power a spell that may need that extra
sparkle,
oomph of energy,
While we're talking about blood sacrifices specifically, I'm currently reading a book on my Kindle called Blood Sorcery Bible, Volume 1, Rituals and Necromancy. And she talks about how she believes that blood is the magician's, like, every tool that you should use. Like, she says that she only uses blood in her spells. And she believes that blood has iron in it, and so it's magnetic, in her opinion, and that it attracts things that you charge it with, and things like that.
Yeah, I think blood, just blood, has an energetic vibrational frequency, obviously. And I think that it definitely carries the vibration of the living being that it was drawn from. And I've used it as a tag lock in my own spells. I've used it to in that way. And I've used it to, like, dragon's blood resin to make a spell more potent, and to give it that extra oomph. So I don't know, though, if I necessarily feel it's the only thing that should be used. I don't use it
all either.
the time, but I do. I mean, I can see what she's saying, and I think that in a person's personal practice, if that's what they feel and that's what they believe, then I think then that's what they should do if that's what they feel,
Yeah. Honestly, the title of the book was pretty much clickbait for me. I was like, ew. I was like, what's this book?
Right, exactly, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you use blood in your magic too, Obsidian, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Not all the time, but it depends on what I am trying to achieve. And when it is for me, kind of a greater goal, like you do, I feel like I need to put some extra energy in there, an extra effort and an extra bit of myself too, if needed. So yeah, I've used it in the past, and I will again probably at some point.
Right.
I think the biggest reason I feel like it's powerful in my practice is because I really hate pricking my finger or, like, cutting myself. Like, I'm a wuss when it comes to pain. So if I use blood in a ritual, then it's very important to me, and I think my spirits and gods and goddesses can see that when I do that.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
Well, I mean, if we think about the whole thing, what is blood? I mean, it's the thing that circulates through our body. It carries the oxygen. It carries the oxygen to our brain and to other parts of the body, and it gets rid of all the oh my God, I'm losing my words today. All the waste, and it will carry that all too. So I feel like that blood is, you know, is an important part of us to live. We can't live without blood or plasma, right?
Mhm.
I mean, to use that for me to use that in my spell crafting means that this spell is important for manifestation. And I feel like if I were to use the power of my blood, it will definitely help in the success of the manifestation.
Yeah. Though I was about to say we should be careful on when we use blood, but yeah, no, I
Yeah.
consider I have to be careful to when I use my blood, why I use it. If it is to empower a talisman or something like this, okay, so one spot of myself, okay, with my blood, I'm tying it with the law of contagion. So I won't use my blood in any kind of X because I don't want to be tied to that. See? So if I need to empower my spell in some kind of work designed to banish or push something away, I won't use any part of me, any, not any, shit, hair, sorry, not any hair or blood or anything like this. But then I could kind of sacrificing something valuable to me, which is not a part of me. And no, I'm not killing any kids in my backyard. I'm just sacrificing, let's say, a whole bottle of, pricey wine or something like this, something else, but not part of me because I don't want to be tied to this kind of spell. Let's say I'm trying to banish someone. I won't use a part of me to empower the spell because then I will be tied to this person and I don't want that.
Yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying. But then, like with the banishing, then I go back and forth with myself in regards to the blood, you know, my own blood in that spell. Because on one hand, I agree. I don't want to be tied to it. So why would I want to use a part of me? But then I think my blood, the witch's blood, is powerful in itself because it carries, you know, my power. Well, wouldn't that empower the spell so much more if I were to use my blood? But then would it tie me to, yeah, that's where I always end up standing there for a few minutes trying to decide whether I'm going to add the blood or not, you know?
Well, what's the difference between the blood being in your body and out of your body?
What do you mean?
Mean menstrual blood, maybe?
No, I meant like you said that sometimes you kind of debate about adding blood or not. Could you? What's the difference between cutting your finger and dripping some blood in versus just realizing that you have blood in your body and maybe just dipping your finger in already, and you're like, now it's charged with blood?
Oh,
does
I
that
see
not?
what you mean. Are you just, so you're saying instead of actually adding the physical blood, just sort
Yeah,
of energetically?
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, all magic, I feel like all magic that I do is going to have that energetic part of me anyways, because I'm sending forth the energies with my will and my emotion energy anyways. But I feel like when we add the actual physical blood, I feel like it's more permanent because it's something in the physical, where if I'm just
yeah,
sending my energy, it's not really physically manifested yet. It's going to propel my intention towards a manifestation. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
That's what I think is the difference there. But I sit there and I debate.
Also, a question that came to my mind is, do you find any difference between the terms sacrifice and offerings?
Yeah, to me there is, but to me there is. An offering is something that I do daily to pay my respect and to offer energy of some sort to the spirits or gods I'm working with. Sacrifice is something I'm gonna kind of take from me or from my life to offer them, to give them. It's a step further. It's something I could have a use for it, or something that will, um, how do you say that? To, shit, I gonna ask to my friend Google. Wait a minute,
It
please.
sounds like what you're saying is that an offering is kind of you just saying to the spirit or God or whatever, hey, I'm thinking about you, I love you, sending those things. And then a sacrifice is more like, I want you to do this for me, so here's this sacrifice.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. It's more like, hey, on a daily basis, I'm offering energy and thoughts and love and and all of this, and a sacrifice more valuable to me. Something valuable to me is, please would you help? Kind of.
Yeah.
Please would
A
Yeah.
you?
sacrifice we expect to get something from it, where an
Yeah, it's
offering we're just kind of it's
You
it's
know,
like sending your friend a card or something.
it's free. Yeah, it's free.
the metaphor I would use between sacrifice and offering is sacrifice is payment, offering is a donation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah,
that's,
I
I
totally
was
agree
just
with that.
thinking because I do offerings quite frequently. I will do offerings after I do a spell, after
Yeah.
I evoked my spiritual court, my allies, my beloved dead, all of them that I work with. I'll do my spell and I'll give an offering, because I am, I'm still asking them to work on my behalf, but it's almost like a thank you. Here, thank you. Here's a gift. Here's a donation.
Yeah,
But if I'm doing a spell where I feel like a sacrifice is required, like not just my time and energy, but something more, something like I need to give up this because I know it's the price I will have to pay for this, then that's a sacrifice. That's a cost. That's something that needs to be done, And I usually kind of have an idea of what it should be beforehand anyway. I
yeah,
kind of have an understanding, if I'm looking to do this magical working and I know it's not going to be just this, it's going to take some time. It's a big deal. Then I know that the offering is going in equivalent exchange. It's going to be, sort of equal in value for me.
yeah. I've also heard people doing things like vowing to stay off social media for a week, or like going and doing community service or different things as sacrifices or offerings.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, like we were saying, I think it's something of value, something that you feel like you put value on. I mean, whether for some people, and it's not going to be the same for all of us, the things that we value in our lives are going to be different for each of
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
So
Obsidian's laughing about something over there.
I'm sorry. I'm fooling around with people. Sorry.
Oh, she's going to count how many times she's saying fuck.
Yeah.
So what do you think in regards to like the stereotypical image of like sacrificing chickens and stuff? Because what I've often thought about that is it doesn't seem like very much of a sacrifice. Like maybe back in the old days, whenever someone's animals were very much so their livelihood, they were giving up a food source. I could see that being a sacrifice. But now modernly, I have met some pagan groups who do that, and I actually have a friend who's in a group that they do that as part of an initiation thing. They sacrifice a chicken, and I'm just thinking that doesn't seem like very much of a sacrifice to me, because it's a sacrifice for the chicken, but not the person stabbing the chicken.
I think in those spiritual paths, because I've encountered when I lived in Massachusetts, there was a group in the city that that was part of their initiation. I'm beginning to think it's probably the same type of pagan group you're talking about. I think in that instance, it's not necessarily the idea that it doesn't hold the same idea, or maybe not idea, practical implication as it did before, like you said, when chickens were more sparse and that was their livelihood. I think in modern day, it's more of a tradition. They're still using it in that way because now they're like aligned with the tradition of what was done, and they're in that vibrational frequency. We do this way because it has the power of the tradition, because before it was a sacrifice. Now it may not be a sacrifice for us because we can get a chicken from the farmer down the street and it's not much of a sacrifice on our behalf, but we're flowing in the energy of the tradition of those who came before us in this same spiritual practice. I think that's where that is.
At some point in the past, sacrificing a chicken or anything else was a great loss for the community. They need to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so by sacrificing a whole chicken or a whole anything else, it was depriving the community, the family of food. So there was a meaning. But now, at least here in some place of the world, when we can just go to the grocery store, it is not much a sacrifice anymore, but it was, I think, in the past.
Yeah. And then in regards to like sacrificing another human, I don't see the point in that unless it's a human that you cared about.
Yeah,
But
it's kind of strange to me, human sacrifice, any kind of sacrifice, even if I can understand what it was in the past for chicken and everything like this, but for human, I think I won't get it. And it's not something I like. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that I would definitely feel aligned with, but I know that that was part of ancient tradition. And I think, at least for me, it's hard for me to truly understand what they were thinking and how they were feeling because I'm so far detached from the life that they lived. We're sitting here on our computers talking to people in France when those people in the ancient times probably didn't even understand there was people in another country that you could talk. You know what I mean? I feel like we're so far removed from what life was like when there were those types of sacrifices done in ancient religions, that it's hard to really get a grasp of what they were thinking and feeling at the time.
Yeah, I agree. But human sacrifice will always sound cruel to me and useless. Because in my point of view, any life is sacred. So in my point of view, we should not. Yeah, no. Nope.
so one of the books that I have is called Carnal Whispers by Somnus Dreadwood. And later on in the book, it talks about basically evolving yourself spiritually. He has like this path that you want to follow and blah, blah. And at one point, it calls for a human soul to blah, blah, blah. And it says you can either do this by just straight up murdering someone or casting a death curse. So what is your opinion of human sacrifice via casting a death curse? Maybe on like a child predator or something like that, or a murderer, or like, pulling the whole Dexter card.
I know, right? Oh man.
Ew,
man.
I'm pulling out the deep questions tonight.
Yeah, I know you are. Well, see, when I was sitting here thinking about human sacrifice, I was thinking of when I was watching the Vikings, and I can't remember what season. I'm not up to date on the new seasons, but before the pivotal turn, I don't want to ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but they did, or I don't know how true it is because I haven't done research on the Viking religion or anything, but in that series they actually had tribunes But these tribunes were people who volunteered to be a tribune, to be a human sacrifice for their gods. So that's what I was thinking when we were talking human sacrifice. This whole idea of death curse hadn't even entered my mind as a possibility. God, I don't even know. What? Holy moly, you caught me off guard with that one. Oh shit.
Okay, so casting, I can.
First off, do you think a death curse would work?
Well, see, that's what I was just sitting here going, okay, let's break this down. Let's do theoretical. Let's take back the idea that it's human sacrifice through a death curse. Let's just think about a death curse to begin with. And I'm thinking, well, number one, you'd really have to work that in order for it to even, well, I suppose if you were really someone who was deviant, you'd, how much do I really want to go into this?
How evil do you want your viewers to know you are?
How evil do I want people to know I really am, right? This is all a facade, people, all a facade. I don't know. Obsidian, why don't you?
Yeah, me. Of course, me. When it's come to,
That's why I got a co-host. Sacrifice, Obsidian, go for it.
It's fine. In Aztec and all, they were sacrificing people with a knife of obsidian. So maybe I am.
She's the tribune.
That's me. That's all me. Okay, so let's say if we were talking about some really nasty people, like you suggest, Cole, someone who's a child predator or something like as disgusting as this, I have to admit I can totally see myself trying to, casting a death curse of something like this, because in my eyes, he's ruining life. So he needs to pay for it. And why not with his own? So in terms of morality, in a moment of anger and sadness and pain, seeing what these people do, I could see myself trying to cast something like this. Yeah. But the point is, will I be able to succeed? That's a whole different topic, because it's a huge thing. I'm not sure there is plenty people able actually to cast some huge curse like this and actually succeed in it. I'm not sure. So yeah, I could see myself do that, but in repay, as we were talking previously, offering is a donation and sacrifice is a payment.
So would you do the sacrifice? Would you, as Cole was suggesting in what he read in the book, the example was to offer up a soul and sacrifice. So would you cast the death curse to offer up that soul?
Yeah.
I don't think we can offer anything. The soul is not. I mean, for the soul part, the soul is not in our hands to decide where it goes. It's far above our hands, if I can say.
Yeah, but if the idea, I think, in that is that we end the physical life. So maybe it's not offering the soul then. Are they?
It's just, for me, the way I understand it, it's just end the physical life. The soul will continue his path with or without me, in the body or out of the body, and it is not in my power or for me to decide what's gonna happen next. I mean,
Yeah, I see what you're saying. But you know what is tripping me up on this is because
mm-hmm,
I know I've read some chaos literature, some books that
mm-hmm,
suggests that a chaos magician could actually do magic and workings while they were physically alive in order to preserve their soul and determine what was going to happen. Like they could send their soul into another physical vessel and either push
That's
out the
actually
soul that
exactly what
exists
I'm talking
there.
about.
Yeah, okay. Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about? Where
yeah.
you
The
can
book.
actually push the soul of the existing person out and reclaim that person's body as your own, like a
Yeah.
walk-in.
yeah.
The book that I was reading was talking about. He worded it as becoming a lich, and I know that sounds very Dungeons and Dragons,
I
but
guess
that's
it does.
how he worded it. And pretty much what you just described of they could do something while they're alive that would make them have more control over what happens to their soul when they die is pretty much what that whole ritual that I was describing. That's what the goal of it was.
Mm.
And
But
part
then
of it was you needed to have a human soul to use. So
Oh, so instead of using their own, they would be taking someone else's soul,
yeah,
and so
that's
that then they
payment.
could control. I see.
okay, I can see the process described here, but I'm very doubtful
That anybody could
it
actually
is
pull it off.
possible. Yeah,
Yeah.
very doubtful of this. To
Drop a
me,
name in chat of who you want to die, and we'll find out.
Who wants to be our tribute? Three of us are going to attempt this after the show.
Next week, dude.
Oh, tune in, right? Hey, we don't have a show scheduled yet. We don't have a topic. We could do it.
okay, so let's do that for the next week.
Do that next week. Yeah, I mean the concept. So I'm just talking about intellectually. These kind of things fascinate me.
Oh, yeah, good idea, Trump.
Oh yeah, right. Let's do it.
Yeah, good idea, Bruno. Okay, let's do that. We will push
We'll do
out
Trump.
the body of
Who
Trump.
wants that body though? No one wants that body.
I don't know. We can put a cat in there. Maybe gonna be nicer. Sorry.
And then forget about Illuminati. We'll be controlling the U.S. government. It'll be the three of us. We'll do
Maybe
a better
that already happened.
Right. Oh my God. But these types of things really fascinate me and really, make me wonder how far are we able to? I mean, I feel like I have more control over my soul than I would someone else's. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
feel like I have much more control of what energetically will happen to me than trying to control obsidians. I don't feel like that. Do I don't know. Is it possible? I mean, I'm going to sit here and say, anything is possible, but I don't know. I personally don't know of anybody who is skilled enough or educated enough or, wise enough or could actually, I don't know anybody that could actually do it. I know there are tons of people who claim they can do shit like that. But I have not met someone who could do something like that.
Yeah.
In the necromancer community, there's a few people that you'll hear of every now and then claiming to literally raise the dead and like create a zombie pretty much through magic. And I'm open to the possibility of that happening, but I'm gonna have to see it happen. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I've never seen that. I don't think I believe that can happen. Pretty damn sure I don't believe that can happen, but I'm open to being proven wrong, but I have not been proven wrong yet.
Yeah, same. And it's the same thing for me about the whole thing of pushing out the soul of someone else. I think we have sort of control over our own soul. And when I say control, let's understand that in our physical incarnation, we do not have a full sight of what we are, where we are, what's our goal as a soul. We just have a little bit of understanding, and it is a Greek word, of what we are doing now. But when we're gonna cross over, then we're gonna be our full soul self,
Right.
and we're gonna see, a broader picture of what. And then, okay, then we have control. But about controlling the soul of someone else in our physical body, okay, no. This is not a part of what I believe, but okay, I'm open, like Cole just said, I'm open to be proved wrong, but
Yeah, I know.
I don't believe it really, no.
So that kind of brings up a good topic of what do we think the limitations of magic are?
How did we stray so far from sacrifice?
But that's interesting. We could define this as a subject for next show, because it's a wide.
Oh yeah, let me write this down.
Yeah.
The didn't we have a show about this with you, Cole? Limitations of magic.
I don't know.
I feel like I'm having.
I was drunk last time I was on here.
Oh, okay. I'm having a deja vu here.
Maybe me and you talked about it, but I can't remember if we were on air or not. I don't know.
Yeah, we have secret chats.
I think things and people.
Yeah, Obsidian and I have secret chats too.
Yeah.
I have secret chats with so many people.
So secret.
Oh man. Sacrifice. All right, so trying to bring it back in. I'm trying to reel it back in. Sacrifice. So what sort of things do either of you tend to sacrifice in your own craft?
I've noticed that my mental health sometimes is a sacrifice. Like, if I don't give a sacrifice that's adequate enough, then it's almost like they'll be like, oh, we're going to take it anyway. And my mental health will suffer, like situations will happen in my life that are really stressful or something. And I'm just sitting back like, okay, well, that's fine as long as you get the spell done. But
I can just see what you.
But usually, what I do is energy is a big thing for me. I do use blood sometimes, and I've also done a spell or several spells using the concept of blood, sweat, and tears, and I'll get all three of those as a sacrifice. Like I'll prick my finger, or I'll run until I'm sweating, and then I'll think about something sad. And that can kind of be a sacrifice. Or like I mentioned earlier, I might abstain from exciting foods and only eat like raw, boring, bland foods for a week or something, like different little things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of the same process here. As we already said previously, the time and effort we put into a spell work is already a sacrifice in itself, or already an offering. It depends on how you see it, but it's about equivalent exchange in order to make the spell, to empower the spell and make it work. So, but when it comes to add a little bit more, sometimes I'm gonna use blood, or I will get something valuable that could has been useful for me or my family, and I will sacrifice it for the sake of the spell. So it could take any form that seem right at the moment. It depends. It varies a lot. No, because I'm not trying to cast over and over the same thing. So usually it depends on what I am trying to achieve. Yeah, see, it's if it's about, let's say, I don't know, prosperity or fertility, I will probably um, use food or drink and deprive myself of something for a certain period of time, and then use the whole thing that I didn't eat or drink or anything into a spell. So it depends. It depends on how I feel and what I am trying to achieve there.
Yeah, I've done things like time, sacrificing time to towards the working, money, in a way that if the spell requires, or I'm going to use a specific ingredient, instead of going to the dollar store, I will find a more expensive ingredient that's the same thing but a higher quality. So then it will cost money. So that's a sacrifice of my money. I've done fasting. I've, abstained from food and drink other than water. I've done that for spell working. So and time, I think time is the biggest one, taking out a slot in my schedule that I could be taking a reading or a client and using that to work. Because that's time and money for me, that's giving up, an appointment with a client and my time towards a spell. So again, I think it's situational, like you said, Obsidian, what you're looking for. And as we've talked about, I've used blood too, as towards that. But I think it's sort of like the modern sacrifices that we tend to do.
Yeah, I suppose it's obviously um, getting along with the time we live in.
Right.
It evolves because we change. So the nature of the sacrifices we could make evolves as well.
Right. Right.
Um, a lot of times too, I'll promise whatever deity or spirit that I'm petitioning to help me, that I will give them an offering of like lighting a candle every single day for a week, or saying a prayer every single day for a week, or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of usual in my own practice. Lighting
I like
candles.
fasting. I mean, I don't like fasting. I hate fasting, but
Who
I
likes
like
fasting?
I like using it because something about it just feels very magical and
Hmm.
like focused and purposeful.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, my offerings tend to be a little different. I mean, depending on the spiritual entities I'm working with, they have specific offerings that they like, but it's
Yeah.
not, like we have said, it's not more of a sacrifice, it's more of a donation.
Yeah, the line sometimes between offerings and sacrifice is kind of blurry, but when it comes to ourselves, because we are willing to give whatever we're gonna give. So I think it blurs the line a bit, but
Yeah.
in the end, it's to achieve the same goal. We are giving energy, time, tears, blood, whatever, to empower our magical work. So I suppose we can talk about sacrifice as long as it involves to deprive ourselves in some way.
That's how I feel sacrifice is the most effective, is
Yeah,
if it
yeah, because
involves something to you specifically. Like I don't understand being like, oh, I'm gonna sacrifice this thing outside of myself, and that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But
yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, yeah.
If you don't place value on it, then how is it a sacrifice?
yeah,
No, yeah, is it not? Then it's an offering, but it's
I
not
mean, right,
sacrifice.
right, because I have some spiritual entities that I work with that, like coffee as an offering. I mean, I love coffee, but we have plenty of coffee. It's not like a sacrifice to give a cup of coffee as an offering. you know, but if it was my last cup of coffee and I couldn't get any for like a week, that then becomes a sacrifice.
Yeah, you know what? I did that. It's because I drink a kind of expensive coffee.
So do we.
and I have usually just one sachet of it, no more. And it was all new, and we didn't plan to buy anything more in the next 1 week and a half. And so I've poured the whole sachet of expensive coffee in the ground, on the ground, and mix it with the ground. And actually, I've planted seed on it.
Yeah. So that was a sacrifice.
Yeah, and I didn't buy any for next 2 weeks. So and when you know how much I love coffee and I need coffee, it was a sacrifice. A little, okay, but it was one.
Yeah. Yeah. But generally, and you know, so in some instances, for me, an offering could become a sacrifice, you know, but sometimes the offerings are like, yeah, no sweat. I can do that for you. Where the sacrifices are, oh, really? You're asking this of me? Yeah. Shit. But if it meant nothing to me, then sure, have it. Who cares? It's not going to affect me. Yeah. And I think sacrifices, especially if we're asked asked something that it's going to be, oh shit, it really gives me the opportunity to really consider whether this is something I want to go through with too, you know.
That's true. And if it's about, fasting or something like this, plus the fact we then have to reconsider what we are doing, it, I think, keeps us focused. Because about fasting, you're gonna think about it every day. And you are building already your energy to achieve each and every day. You are building up this energy. When you fast, you are in a period of depriving, because you think of it every day and you think why you are doing this every day, and probably several times a day, and then you build up the energy that you will be able to use in the end of the process when magical work gonna be involved.
Exactly. It's a high in itself too.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, sometimes when the fast is supposed to end, I have been like, oh, I don't know if I want it to end.
Yeah.
Because it's a very it's a high you get from that.
Absolutely.
So we have about 10 minutes or so. Did we have any questions? Chat has been like flying by. I don't even know if there were any questions about sacrifice.
I don't know. I've
been trying to look.
Yes, but I didn't read it for once. Okay.
Give gifts, not sacrifice.
If you have 0 other witches in your family and you are the first in the generation, do you have strong magic?
Yeah, that was generational power. It had really nothing to do with sacrifice.
No.
Is it okay to use a bug? It worked for me, but I don't know if it works for others. Using a bug as a sacrifice? I don't know.
Don't know.
To me, like, stuff like that, it might psychologically make your brain be like, ooh, this is witchy, and it might make your spell more powerful for that reason. But I don't know.
Ooh, this is witchy.
I squished a beetle. So witchy.
Oh, I love you, Cola. It's so funny. Because it's so true. I mean, it is so funny because it is so true.
So much of the stuff I do is because of the ooh, this is witchy.
You're right, because we have to be aligned with the energy and the spirit of what we are doing. So if we
Yeah.
just feel like, yeah, that's not gonna work. We need to get into it, to get excited about it, this is which is totally true. Totally true.
I play into the Hollywood aspect of witchcraft sometimes just because it makes the ritual feel more solid, even though I know it doesn't do anything what I might be doing, but it tricks my brain into thinking it's doing something.
It sets the mood, it sets the tone.
The ambiance.
Yeah. And that in itself can shift your perspective. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. It is not it's not void or void, because you are setting your mind into it, so you're connected to your power, with your power, and then so it becomes effective.
I'm imagining a god getting a beetle and just being like, thanks.
Wow, that's a sacrifice right there. Thank you for the beetle. I don't know. I've never sacrificed a bug. I don't know.
No, me neither.
Yeah, I didn't see any specific questions about sacrifice. I was scrolling through. So if any of you have any questions or thoughts on sacrifice, we have about 9 minutes now before we come to an end. Oops, now I have to go all the way down. Okay. What? They pay no attention to us in chat? That's not true. You guys were just talking so much and we were in the middle. We can't just stop and go, wait, we got to read chat. That's boring.
Usually I try to keep an eye on it, but...
Yeah, but she's been so involved in the discussion. It's hard when we're caught up in a discussion. There's 3 of us, And you guys were just like, jing, 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 talking like crazy. Sometimes chat is quiet, but not tonight, man.
Or sometimes it's me who is quiet, so then
I know, right. Not tonight, though. Not tonight.
Not tonight.
Any more thoughts from either of you? Any more crazy questions, Cole? He's not going to be able to top that death curse question. Yeah. I'm telling you, that's going down in history with us in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I can't think of any as good as those ones.
I'm sure you were at some point.
Well, I can't sacrifice a little of my time. Yes, I can, Loken, but I think you were going to sacrifice your tongue earlier, and we were going to cut it out. Sacrifice that tongue. I could sacrifice a little of my time, but I don't know if you guys just want to sit here and watch me read comments or read the chat while, you're bored out of your mind watching us not speak when we're reading it.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
Okay. Yeah. No, there's no need to be absolutely serious all the time.
I know, right? I know they were having fun talking to each other. I know you were, and that's a good thing.
And that's great. Yeah, that's absolutely great. It's about raising energy too.
Oh, here's questions. Shadow Sun, hey. What do you think about culture and sacrifice? Do you think it plays a role?
Yeah, I suppose it has been proven. In many old and ancient culture, there were a huge part for the sacrifice in regards of religions. So yeah, it was involved, probably for the reason we've talked about already, because they had a different regards on let's say, again, chicken or anything like this, because it was worthy, because they needed it to live, to eat, and anything. So sacrificing something, even wheat, was a huge price to pay for them. So yeah.
I'm sure there's some book that I could read about this subject, but I've always wondered how the Aztecs got to the point to where they're like, oh, we need to be sacrificing humans. That's what's wrong. Like, I
Yeah, I
just
don't
wonder
know.
what made them start thinking that.
Maybe they thought about it all along. I mean, if you think about ancient, like, look, in ancient cultures and sacrifice, because he said something in the chat about, are we talking about current or ancient? We're talking ancient. I mean,
Of course, ancient.
if we're talking about ancient cultures with sacrifices, I mean, they saw life and death on a daily basis. And I mean, I can only imagine, you know, living in that fight or flight state where everything was about your survival, that, you know, if they imagine that the gods were, you know, in control of everything, well, maybe if we offer something of value, if we offer a young woman who gives life to this god, maybe they'll give us life because we're giving it. You know, there must have been some
Do you think they did it
understanding.
once and then had good results and then just kept going
Probably.
with it?
Probably, right?
Maybe.
I mean,
Is it possible?
I would imagine.
because if they sacrificed and they didn't get good results, they might have thought, well, we sacrificed the wrong person. Whoopsie doodle, you know, whoopsie doodle, wrong person. Maybe it needs to be a man, not a woman. Maybe it needs to be younger, not older, you know. I don't know. The perfect person. I don't know. I don't know.
But as you mentioned, there were also people who were a volunteer to be a sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
They viewed it as an honor.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it kind of was an honor, because if I remember well, in several different culture, then they were treated, as I've already said, as living god or king.
Yeah.
And they were living a perfect life for, let's say, 1 month or 1 season, and then but they, okay. So I don't know, yeah, but they were agree.
Yeah, and Shadow in the chat just pointed out that Muslim suicide bombers are volunteers.
As well
And they're
as
Muslims, the suicide bombers, they're volunteering and they're going out there sacrificing themselves.
yeah,
I mean,
because they were told that they're going, after their deaths, they're gonna head for paradise with I don't remember the
virgins
number,
or whatever. Yeah.
virgins, and yeah, what manly thoughts. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes me think of the movie The Lottery, which was creepy as hell.
The what?
The Lottery?
I don't think I saw that.
No.
It's this movie where this guy's car breaks down in a town and he's stuck there pretty much. And then, long story short, he finds out that I think every year or every certain number of years or something, they have a lottery, and whoever draws the card with the black spot on it is the one that they sacrifice by stoning to death so that their crops can grow.
Great.
It's a very creepy Children of the Corn kind of movie.
Yeah.
I love Children of the Corn.
I do too. It's so weird.
I love it. He wants you, Malachi. I love that movie. Oh my god, I just watched it not that long ago. Okay. Any last thoughts? It's 9:29. No. I'm just checking out to see if there was anything else in there.
Trying to.
Oh yeah, someone said Christ did that too voluntarily. Yeah, Jesus was a sacrifice.
He did.
But there
for
is
all humankind to wash away the sins. What are you laughing at, Obsidian? What are you laughing at? The Wicker Man. Wicker Man. Remember the Wicker Man. All right, I guess that's it.
Yeah, I suppose.
I shall remember the Wicker Man. Thank you, Cole, for being on the show. Wow, that hour went by so freaking fast.
Yeah, but it
Holy
was
shit.
so great.
Oh,
so
it was
nice.
fun. I needed this tonight. Thank you. Thank you both. And thank you all in chat. I really needed this tonight. You have no idea.
Thanks for having me on.
Yes, we have to do it again.
Yeah.
And you got to make some videos. We miss your face on YouTube. At least I know I miss your face on YouTube.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, see, she misses your face too. So Obsidian's going to say goodnight.
Oh, did she? Will she?
She is.
Did she? I'm already gone again to bed, you see. Ok. J'espère que vous vous êtes bien amusés avec nous, même si le sujet était un peu sérieux. Finalement, c'est parti en live complètement. Donc, j'espère que ça a été sympathique et que vous nous retrouverez la semaine prochaine. N'hésitez pas à laisser vos questions et vos commentaires. Promis, on ne répondra pas des conneries. À bientôt. Bye bye.
Did you say Paris in there? Did I hear Paris? No, probably not. It sounded like Paris. I don't know. You need to tell me what you say at the end because I never know. Thank you, Cole, for being on the show. We got to have you on again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is his channel? Shadow Sun. You could find the link to it in the information section of this video. If not, I'll share it. I'll share it with you. You could find him. He's a wonderful channel. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you. See, what are we doing next week? Do we know? I don't even think we know what we're doing next week.
Usually, we don't know what we're doing.
We don't know what we're doing next week. Oh, yeah, we're doing that death curse spell. That's what we're doing next week. We'll see you all tomorrow. No, we won't see you tomorrow. We'll see you next Friday. Oh, my God. I love you all. Blessed be.